Hello, I'm Will Young, and I'm great company.
I grew up with you. So for me, you're kind of like in some way, a kind of superhero.
I'm your pal.
When you're in that space and you're the height of this fame and everyone wants a piece of you, were you just did you go a bit wild at times?
There were some amazing things. I mean, I went for lunch with the Queen. I went for lunch at Buckingham Palace with the Queen.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, and I did this gig the other day, and this guy came up to me. He was like, "We've met before," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And he goes, this is really moving, by the way, because I went for lunch with the Queen and it was 8 of us and I was really nervous. Yeah. And a lot of the butlers, people working there were gay men. So, and I'd just come out and it was quite a big thing then.
Yeah.
You didn't often get a male pop star at the beginning of their career coming out. It just wasn't big. And so they were coming up to me in secret and going, and one of them came up and went, "Thank you so much." And they're not allowed to talk to you. They're not allowed to do any, obviously they weren't allowed to do that. And then I went off to the loo and another one was like, "Thank you so much." I mean, I could cry. It was amazing.
That is amazing.
So I was talking about this and then I went to this thing and this butler was working there. It was some like massive party and they I don't do these private parties the whole time, but I haven't done a couple recently. And he was like, "I was the butler who served you at Buckingham Palace. I worked there for 35 years. And I was like, "I can't believe it." I said, "I was just talking about you yesterday." I know, it was madness. And then he said, "I stole your place name afterwards." He was like, "You're the only person I stole his place name." I said, "Darren, I want that back." I said, "Darren, you're a thief."
Just as you were about to get emotional. Just as you were about to get emotional, that's where the humour came in.
I know, humour. But it was just...
That is amazing. Do you realise
And I'd forgotten that.
But
How did I forget that?
But do you realise the impact that you have had? No. But you must. I want you to know this, 'cause I'm sure you do. But I just also want to say it from my point of view. First conversation we had, you were my television. You were my saviour on Saturday nights from this school.
So nice.
You really were, and that's just a little boy who's just at school, right? Not only are you then people who are going through breakups, or people who are having a hard day, or people who families are going through, or business are failing, and they play your songs and you cheer them up.
It's
lovely. Or not only that, even further than that, being a beacon of light and support for someone who's struggling with their sexuality, and they're saying thank you for doing it. You have done that.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's really. This guy came up to me. I think I don't think about those things because...
You really should.
It's partly self-effacing and partly a worry from the beginning of becoming big-headed, I think. So I wouldn't think about things. And I think probably most people in my position don't think about those things. But it's lovely when you do hear. And there was a professor that came up to me in Oxford and he had married his husband and it was just so beautiful, and he was like, "Thank you so much." He said, like, when you came out, me and my partner, they'd been together since. I mean, he was like really like proper professor, He had a toweling tie. And I just gave him a hug. I was just like, I just thank you. And I think I forget because we've come on so far. I mean, we're fucking Alex, come on. I mean, Jesus.
I know.
Come on so far, of course, how brilliant. But I forget how important it was for lots of people then. I remember when I came out, Elton and David sent me flowers saying thank you.
But also I think you were 25 or 24.
22.
You were 22 when you came out.
Or maybe 23, yeah.
And you're a pop star. And maybe I'm phrasing it wrong, but you're sort of seen as this sort of sexy young man, and then coming out as gay, that must be a nerve-wracking thing, because it's like, okay, hang on, this time is different. So it was back,
Well, you couldn't be. I was sort of asexualized because you couldn't be sexual as a gay man, because if you were sexual as a gay man, you're seen as camp.
Yeah.
If you're sexual as a straight man, you're seen as virile. A gay man takes his top off and you're seen as flouncing around. Doesn't matter how muscly the gay guy is. And whereas a straight pop star takes his top off. That's Justin Bieber. I'm just using example. Everyone's like, so to put someone like Jake Shears, who's got the most incredible body, against Justin Bieber, for example, people look at Jake Shears and be like, oh, there he is, top off again. Justin Bieber would be like,
oh, there we go. Yeah.
So it was so difficult to be sexual. I was sort of like neutralized. Because
so then how do you make the decision to come out? Because then that's a massive decision.
I went more for humour, to be honest. So like I did a swimming video for a song called Friday's Child. And I've got, God, I wish I had those abs. I mean, I had a good 6-pack. You know, I mean, it was a fucking good 6-pack. It was almost an 8-pack. But I'm learning to swim.
Yeah.
So I'm in Speedos.
Yeah.
Oiled up with a 6-pack, but I'm learning to swim with kids who are aged five.
Yeah.
So that was the way I thought, well, I can't be sexual, because at that stage I couldn't dance with a male partner in a video. I couldn't have a love story with a male partner in a video. That just wasn't allowed. They wouldn't have allowed it. You know, I mean, even in 2010 or 2009, I did a video, and at one point I danced with a male mannequin, and the record company tried to pull it.
Get out of here.
No, tried to get it out of the video. So that's how difficult it was. Like, so I thought, well, I can't be sexual. I can't be, it's that authentic thing, isn't it? And it was hard. But also I was like, well, that's the card I've been dealt. That's where we're at in society at the moment. So I'll just have a laugh with it. You know, and luckily found these brilliant directors that could, you know, well, why don't we do this instead? So it was really clever. Or did a Top Gun video, which is kind of homoerotic, but
I remember.
Yeah, so it's like you could have. I think there were ways,
and you were driven by success in a way. And I don't think.
I didn't. Yeah, I knew what I was dealing with.
You were just like, fine. This. How do we navigate through it?
People don't want to. It was like.
So you just got it. You were just like, right. This is the time.
I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sell any albums. I just understood it, and I didn't want to not sell albums, but I didn't want to not be honest. So I thought, well, listen, I get it. People don't want to see two men kissing. Are you a sexual person? Yeah, I love sex. I've rediscovered it again. Yeah, I had a bit of a drought, but we all do. Do you have droughts in relationship? I had a bit of a drought, but I think we have it. So you had a drought, yeah. You had a drought. Libido's back. The libido's back. Yeah. So you had a drought and now it's back. Yeah, libido's back. Yeah, fully erect. Midnight. Yeah, at midnight. Midnight is the song in your new album. Yeah. And it's about being single in 40s and being overweight. Is that what it is? A little bit. That's what Jemima is. She said othered. Oh yeah, othered. Yeah, othered. Yeah. How was it like writing the new album? Did you fall in love with that one? I loved. I really loved that. Yeah, that was like a new discovery. Of you do get slightly othered as you get older. Funnily enough. What do you mean by that, though? I mean, I think people just sort of. I looked at someone yesterday as he crossed in front of my car, thinking, hurry up, I want to get on. And but after I thought that, I thought, God, I thought he looked a bit old. And then I realised he was probably the same age as me. No, I know, it's weird. Isn't that terrifying? It's weird. I mean, I like the way I look. And you look great. Yeah, I think I look... You look really good. I like the way I look. But I think you can suddenly forget. And particularly when you go grey, you know, that's weird because you look, that ages you. And you get put in a different sort of category. I don't think you know, you're not necessarily seen as sexual and I don't know. I mean, I know I'm not 80, but it's just, I don't think I'd realised that I'd maybe sort of slightly, not given up, but like a bit like, okay, well, that's it now. That kind of thing. And I didn't realise that. And I think I had slightly been in a bit of a holding pattern. Being single in your 40s, friends and relationships, and I think a lot of people listening probably think, is it hard? You don't get asked things. No, when you're single, you don't get asked things. Nothing. If you're single, you don't get asked things. Like what? Well, you're just like, you're difficult because it's all couples. So you don't get asked to things. It's really bizarre. Don't get asked on holidays. Don't get asked to dinners. Don't get asked. Because you're the odd one. You're the odd one. You're the odd one out. And also people think that you're unhappy being single. And I'm like, I love it. Well, I love it. But also like, you know, I think there's like a real thing of like, if you're single, love my aunt mentioned her earlier, but you know, I know my aunt will be like, she'll literally just be like, almost whisper it. Like, anyone? No. And she'll answer the question for herself before I've answered. Anyone? No. Okay. Do you want tea? Do you know what I mean? And my friend did it the other day. Is there anyone? And they feel a bit sorry for you. So like someone did it to me the other day. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you this. They're not having a good time in their relationship. Let's put it that way. They're not having a good time. But I could tell like they slightly felt sorry for me. And I was like, you're feeling sorry for me being single? Your relationship is fucked. But because they've got the car and the kid and the thing, it's like,
yeah, they got the dream.
It's okay because we can tick that off
completely
to the wider world. But I'm like, I do not want that. Like, I would be single for the rest of my life. I do not want that.
So then what do you say to someone who's listening who is single and going like, oh God, my life is not ticked?
Well, it's just like, it's not the answer. Because there's a few things. One, someone said to me once, there's nothing more lonely than being in the wrong relationship. That is the loneliest place to be in the world. It's awful. And two, who are you trying to prove it to? So like, I love my aunt and I know why she says it. And also I do think it's lovely to have companionship and have a partner. But I also know probably over 50% of people I know in relationships are not having functional ones. I could name you. I know them over there, they haven't had sex for 2 years. Them over there, they're being awful with their kids. So like, it's a society thing. It's like, this is how you should be. Obviously we all know the real thing is you've got to learn to be happy with yourself. But I do think, and that's taken me a long time, but I do think when you meet your ally, and I'm sure you have this with your wife, it's a really lovely thing, isn't it? It's a lovely thing. You got your pal and you can get naked and have sex with them. I mean, it's like, who doesn't want that? You got your pal and you can shag him.
And you can shag him at the same time.
Shag him.
Yeah,
kisses on the neck.
Yeah. What was your experience at school? Because you went at an early age. You said you were sporty. Did you enjoy it?
I didn't enjoy when we went really young, as in me and my brother, because we were twins. I mean, I was lucky to have a twin. I learned to swim in the school pool. My grandparents lived just off. I mean, we talk about privilege. I mean, get ready for this fucking sentence.
I can't wait.
My grandparents lived just off the golf course of the school. I mean,
that was a prep school as well. That's a prep school.
Prep school.
8 to 13-year-olds, and they have a golf course.
Drop that in there. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, it was madness, and it was madness. But so, what was weird was I have home video of us on that golf course as kids before we even went there. So for us, it was like second home, like literally. Like we'd go there in the summer, use the pool, and then I got there. And then it was like, oh, fuck. And teachers that I knew, because they were friends of, my family, were like monsters. And it was really weird.
In what way?
My experience of it was a very physically abusive place. Kids thrown across the room, heads smashed into radiators, thrown down the stairs, kicked in the stomach. We were watched in the showers, watched in the baths. I know some kids that were sexually abused. I wasn't. And it was a very, very... And I think Charles Spencer talked of the climate of violence recently in his prep school, his private school experience. And it was a climate of violence. I mean, it was astonishing. And some teachers would go off and then they'd drink, so then they'd come back and they'd be a bit drunk. Because they'd go off at lunchtime, and come back, and then they'd be even more violent. It was terrifying. And you couldn't get away.
Did you find it quite hard to talk about that for a long time? Because also how
I never spoke about it.
Yeah, because you also you say my experience. So you wanted to label it on yourself. You're almost nervous to say.
I also have to say that legally.
Oh, okay, fine. That makes sense. But
no, because also I've tried to bring a suit against the school. But the people dropped, Really? It's been really interesting having an insight into bringing legalities against a place for my perceived abuse. There's the language again, and how that makes you feel as how it makes you feel, and how victim blaming can come into play very quickly. It's given me a whole new insight into how hard it is for people of all areas of abuse, what they fucking have to go through. And I've done a lot of therapy, and so it doesn't really take me down that much. But I mean...
Break it down for me.
Imagine, first of all, school reaching out, PR from the school reached out to my manager and was like, can Will stop talking about this because it's really affecting, it's really upsetting the parents. And like my manager was like, oh no. I was like, what? So what? So I need to feel bad because, because they're trying to shut me out. So that was a mistake.
What does that make you feel though as well? Because
I was just like, you've made a huge mistake. I basically said to the school, I will never stop talking about this. Ever.
Yeah.
And one of the huge reasons that my brother's mental health was so bad and he killed himself was because of what happened to him at school.
Really?
Yeah. So, and also friends of mine, I know, they've told me since what's happened to them. And we were friends, over 40, well, for almost 40 years ago. I didn't know that had happened to them. So we've talked about privilege. I am so lucky because I was really ill, physically and mentally, emotionally, and I managed to have the capital to get the help that I needed, and still do, to be honest, But lots of people don't have that. So the way I approach when I talk about what's happened at that school, weirdly, my anger is not just for me, but it's for all those other poor people whose lives have been destroyed forever, forever. It's just awful. That's what happens for all sorts of people. Like, they've been let down in childhood. They've been, experienced some sort of abuse and neglect, and it's destroyed their lives. And that's just awful. And it hasn't really ever blown up as big as it should, really, that whole system of boarding schools and how corporal punishment was still allowed way until the 90s because of the government and, all these weird things. So, and then breaking it down, it's very hard when you get a law firm that goes, I don't think we're going to take on your case. And you've gone through the psychiatrist's appointments.
For what reason?
They just didn't think they could win it, And the school never replied to a letter. I haven't told anyone this, but I think it's important because I hope if someone's listening, they get to hear how difficult it is when you want to get recompense for, past perceived abuses. Because you write a letter to the people, whoever it is, in my case it was the school, they didn't reply. They never replied for over a year. Now, legally, they didn't have to.
Because they just chose to ignore it.
That's fine. They probably thought his case is quite tenuous, so he'll go away. But the big problem they made was that they tried to shut me out. And I'm really contrary and really stubborn.
So you were like, hang on a second.
I was like, I said to them, I'm never going to shut up about this, ever. Like, literally ever. Even the other day, by the way, someone came up to a friend of mine and said, when will Will stop talking about abuse at school? And I was like, oh my God, I can't, because you can't handle hearing about experiences. You want me to shut up. So the reason I do it is not really, to create this sort of narrative of like, this is what happened in my life, because I've got lots of other lovely things going on, It's not my choice to go like, oh, that's what happened to me. And it's like, no, I've got a lovely life. But it's to give other people permission to recognise and to validate it.
That's a great way.
Yeah, and to validate it for others and go, yeah, that's shit. That should never have happened. Forget the institution. Could have been in the home.
Yeah.
Could have been in the job. Could have been anywhere. Forget the institute. Could be in a relationship. It's not right. It's just not right.
Well, that's a great way to look at it because they always, I think there's certain scenarios with this when you go against what a relationship, a business, a school, whatever it is. And I suppose if your aim is to get revenge, there's always that saying that goes up, which
You're
is
right.
seeking revenge is like drinking a poison and wanting the other person to die.
Yeah.
It doesn't heal you. It doesn't do anything. So if you're doing it for the others, that is a great way to, because you'll never, unfortunately, as we both know with these scenarios,
it doesn't
help it.
No, and I'll always have a sort of gaping hole in me of sort of, wanting something that I didn't get in that experience. I recognise that. I've done enough, bloody work on myself to recognise that. But you're right. And interestingly, when I got dropped, it was like a bit of a gift, actually.
Dropped?
By the law firm.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, good. I said I'm tired a bit. I said it to myself and the dog. Domino. I was like, Domino? Domino's like, why are you talking to me? I just want food. I said,
Domino talk back?
No, Domino just, Domino. Domino's in the doghouse because he's just shat all over the sides of the carpet. Again. Do you know what I mean? Again, and you can't clean a size carpet. It's out.
You can't. That's gone.
It's gone.
That is gone.
And he knows it.
Yeah.
No, I released the anger. That's what was really nice. I was like, you know what? I'm going to release this anger because you've got to have quite a lot of fight. It's driven me in my life quite a lot.
That was your home. So you grew up going there. You knew all the teachers. You know, that is very childhood to you.
It's family.
It's family, right? And so the moment then when you want to speak out against your family, that is a hard moment because we've all had things in our lives where parents have done something wrong or whatever. And to speak out, that must be So what was the moment when you finally said...
That's created big problems.
Has it?
Big problems, yeah. It's created big problems because we had such family ties to the school as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's a shame. And also like one of the teachers who was horrible and awful was like friends with my family. But you know, some of them have come around and some of them haven't. And I'm sure they don't like it when I talk about it, but that's more on them. And you've got to realise that actually, that's on them and make it wider than my family. If I'm saying something, I mean, my parents are actually amazing because they've got to deal with the guilt. They didn't know it. They've got to deal with their own anger. They've got to deal with all that. But that's not me. That's not for me to deal with. That's their emotion. So whenever we worry about like how other people are going to react, it's like, let them have their reactions. Do you know what I mean? I can only control my own reactions and, you know, try and monitor my own behaviour, my own emotions. Let them have their own. So like, yeah, it must be really difficult for my dad. I know it's really difficult for my dad to hear what happened to his sons. And also that's for him to handle. He is an adult, you know. So
you take away...
You can't take on everyone's emotions.
You have to release yourself from it.
You'd never do anything, would you?
But...
You never do anything. But you can't hang on to blame. I don't blame my parents and, you know, widen it out again from, you know, we can all get shit on our parents. I mean, we can.
Yeah.
Of course we can. Like, no one's perfect as parents. But you don't want to live in... Don't make that your story for the whole of your life. Like, my mum never did this, so this is why I'm like that. It's like, that's your choice to make that your story. Don't hang on to that because that's just going to make you ill.
You mentioned it before, you've experienced awful grief. Yeah. And, you mentioned that your brother took his own life. I mean, when you're dealing with anger and then something like that happens, how do you navigate your way through life?
No, weirdly, like grief I'm quite good with. I feel like I must have been an old Grecian woman in a past life that just wanted to like smash plates, you know, the wailing, the gnashing of teeth. Do you know what I mean? Like dressed in a black shawl. Like I'm totally down with that. I'm down with like public displays of grief. I want to gnash, you know, I'm the Bacchae, I'm the chorus. I'm a Grecian tragedy. So I can deal with grief. Anger I find harder. Yeah.
Because you internalize it?
I think, yeah, I've internalized it. Don't be angry. You're never angry.
Yeah.
And you know, it was so interesting actually. So when I did Who Do You Think You Are, I know we can't talk about it. There's one bit when I did cry and I got to watch it recently. And you know what? So I start crying and then I do this really English thing and I watch, because I act. So I love watching it because I was like, I've got to bring that into something because it is fucking insane. I go like, so I start crying and I go, no, yeah. And then I sort of went, no, I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's lovely. I'm sorry. So I like something awful I've just found out and I go, no, it's amazing. Lovely. Yeah. I'm sorry. And then I apologize for crying. And I'm like, it couldn't be more English. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I need to show this to my therapist. Like that is me in a nutshell. It was just...
Yeah, because you apologise for it because we're so closed up all the time that you don't want to release it. And then when you do release it, you're like, oh God, I've embarrassed...
Oh God, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I've embarrassed everyone here.
I'm so sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's another bit, like, when someone goes, and what happened to him? And the guy goes, well, it didn't end well. And I go, oh, cut the head off. Yes. And I was like, that is the most reserved. If an American was watching that, going like, that's how British people talk to each other. And I think then like the historian said something like, yes, not a good ending. I mean, it's like so understated. Everything's undersaid.
Yeah.
It's like so repressed. Not a good ending. They chop the head off. Not a good ending.
Do you think, though, because you had your play Song from Far Away, which was a one-man play about grief.
Yes.
And do you think that doing something like that, because I imagine with you, and this is, I'm just spitballing here, but I imagine when you play a character, you really go into it and you really understand the character and you really get to know the character. And so then doing a play like that about grief, maybe it makes you understand it much more and able to handle it much more.
I actually, weirdly, am sort of like, I find it, I actually kind of put myself aside doing roles. And I was very, very lucky. And I only mention him because he was so nice to me. So I'm not mentioning him as a name drop. I'm literally mentioning him because I worked with him and he was so nice, and the advice he gave me. And I did a film with Bob Hoskins and he said, don't take the character home with you. He was like, you can't do that.
What do you mean by that? Explain something he doesn't know.
Because he'd done a film, I can't remember which one it was, and he brought the character home with him and it fucked him up.
Really?
Yeah. So I never forgot it. So like before any acting job, like I'll have a shower beforehand and I'll have a shower immediately afterwards if it's theatre.
To wash yourself away.
Yeah. And also I take myself out of it actually and just like surrender to the script. And so even though that was a play about grief, I didn't ever I actually deliberately didn't let myself equate it to and it was about a dead brother. I didn't equate it to my brother because it wasn't the same story. And also I thought, if I want to emotionally, like, I don't need to equate it to get to the emotions. Weirdly. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
some people do.
Yeah.
You know, but I didn't. So every night I'd cry, but it was just because the story was so sad. But it wasn't because I was letting myself link it to my brother. I just found the story so sad. If I use...
That's amazing sort of emotional strength from you not to. Because otherwise that crosses over.
And I think it would fuck me up. Yeah, because then I'd be like, it would be too much. You know, that's just too... Some people can do it, but I can't. I'm not emotionally... I'm not strong enough to be able to... It's too dangerous for me to do that.
It's funny because you have this such emotional... inner strength, but actually you're also really vulnerable at the same time. And it's funny you talk about that very British thing, because, and I hope I'm not misquoting here, and if you don't want to talk about it, it's absolutely fine, but I heard that when the police came to your house to say that your brother had committed suicide,
I said I've just done his washing or his ironing. Yeah, it's like a film. Isn't that funny? But I think we have film moments in our life when things like that happen. Because you kind of go into shock as well. So we do and say things that are like, no cinema's as good as real life. Do you know what I mean? So when these things happen, be them like amazing moments of, you know, huge success, huge joy, huge, just like, I can't believe this is happening, you know, to like the deepest, saddest moments. And you've been dumped and your heart's bleeding and you just... Those are film moments. Yeah. I mean, I was a bit pissed off because I'd spent quite a lot of time on that ironing. The other really funny thing is I just got an enormous dog cage for my 2 pit bulls that I'd rescued. But they'd broken out of the cage. So there was just this... And by the way, the cage was the size of this whole space in my front room. It looked like a sex cage. So the police turned up and then because the next thing I said was, that's not a sex cage, that's for the dogs. And they kind of looked at me like, is it?
Have you always used humour?
Sex cages.
Yes, have you always used sex cages?
New thing.
Have you
Once Amazon sprung up.
Have you... There's a lot of things I relate to in so many ways. Using humour to get through really difficult times.
I think humour can be an avoidance, but I also think it's an amazing resource. And I also think, like, take brilliant cabaret, like amazing cabaret, amazing, funny, political, social cabaret is joyous and funny, and then the saddest, most darkest thing in the world. And it flips on a knife edge, you know. And when I did cabaret, I learnt that.
Nominated for an Olivier Award.
Yeah, I just tell people I won it.
Do that.
No one checks.
I'm going to say that again.
Yeah.
You won an Olivier Award.
I was so chuffed. I was so chuffed. I keep it in the loo. Yeah. No one checks.
No one checks.
And apparently the actor Michael Gambon used to just literally in every interview just make up a different thing. He'd go, oh, well, when I trained at the Royal Ballet, I mean, never trained at the Royal Ballet. No one checked. No, but so I think I think humour you can use. I did a talk, and it was because I got an honorary doctorate at Exeter University. Yeah, so I gave this talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you went to Exeter.
And I went to Exeter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you liking my research? Is this
I'm
very
really
good? It's not even. It's not. No, it's just mine. Write certain things down.
That's so impressive.
Yeah.
That is impressive.
Don't worry. I know everything about you.
Do you?
Yeah.
You poor man. But I gave this speech, but also like, I don't want to sit there and I'm not going to sit there and talk for 15 minutes about how I had a breakdown and like, you know, wanted to kill myself. And I mean, that's just, it's really sad and it's powerful. It's also quite boring after a while. Sorry, I mean, it does get boring. Like, imagine you're at a dinner party. Whereas if I also talk about mental health, talk about vulnerabilities, and then inject a bit of humour into it and go, it's all right. It doesn't all have to be
doom and gloom.
Doom and gloom the whole time. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't. Even when you're in your deepest, I think humour can be an unbelievable resource.
Yeah.
Because even if you're at your deepest, you know, if you spot something and you think, God, that's quite funny. So imagine you're like really depressed and then you see something and you think, why is that person walking so weirdly? It sort of brings you...
Well, it was Oscar Wilde who said when he was on his deathbed, looked at his curtains, which he hated, and said, one of us must go. Yeah, you know, it's great. Yeah, it's just always bringing into those dark moments.
Yeah.
You kind of have to.
And I don't know if that's a British thing, but I think it's a really great British attribute. Yeah.
I don't want to lean into this topic anymore, but when something... I don't know why I'm in this stage of my life, and I don't know why I am, but I for some reason have been just thinking about death for some reason, and I don't know why I have, but I just have. Losing a brother, and I have two brothers, but one's a full brother, one's a half brother, but I love them equally. I don't know what I would do. Because I don't, so weirdly, and I will come to answer that question, but I think death, by the way, anxiety is not talked about enough. It's really interesting. Yeah.
So we either have like, what we're going to do if I lose that person?
Yeah.
Or it's like, what's going to happen to me? Like, you know.
I kind of flirt with both sometimes.
Yeah. And they're both terrifying.
Yeah.
And then it can go to existentialism. It's like, what the fuck is, you know. And I get furious because I'm like, I'm just furious that I have to die. Because I think I'll just be cross on my deathbed going like, I don't want to. Do you know what I mean? It's like someone going, eat that, and I'm like, but I don't want to eat it. You know, that's the way I see death. I'm like, but I don't want to die.
It's exactly that.
And like, I'll miss my friends.
Yeah.
Who do I talk to?
Yeah.
And who am I going to text? Going, oh my God, you never believe. You know what I mean? Like, that's just really unfair. So I'm like more like irate and a bit stroppy about death, but it can move into like existential terror.
Yeah.
But weirdly, with losing people, I don't know if it's just the way my brain has made it work for me, but I don't really see them as gone. Really? Yeah.
That's really interesting. You can feel?
Yeah, I just sort of think, I think I could murder a quote now, but it's something like, well, they've just left the room, you know? So I'm like, well, okay. My brother Rupert's just left the room, or my grandmother's left the room. I mean, she could be a bit of a pain, to be honest. But, you know, like, or my uncle, you know, gorgeous uncle, or friend, you know. So I just don't see them as gone, because their spirit is still there. That's how maybe that's just how I've made it work for myself. But I just think, well, their spirit's still there. I mean, physically they've gone, but like Rupert's essence is still everywhere. You know what I mean?
It feels like you had this amazing. It's the way you talk about people as well, and you obviously had so much love to give from yourself. You love giving out love.
Yeah. I mean, I also do hate people as well.
Do you?
Yeah, because I am an introvert. So
are you?
Yeah. So I mean, like, I need to sit in a room for about 2 days if I've been around people.
So what do you like in relationships?
Dreadful.
Really?
I am dating someone quite nice at the moment, which
Here
is,
we
by
go.
the way, a new experience for me.
What,
So
they're nice or dating?
Both. No, it's because I have a very closed heart. I have a very closed heart in relationships, probably because of abandonment and all that shit.
Yeah.
So it's just not something that's been a pleasure for me at all. The sex has been nice, but you know, like, it's just not been a pleasure. I don't know how to do it. Give me something to be successful at.
You can do it.
Knock it out of the park. I don't mind. No problem at all. Oh, are you nervous about doing a monologue? Easy. I'll learn it in a week. It's fine. Do you know what I mean? But give me that's my kryptonite, is relationship.
Because your heart is...
Yeah, my heart's been closed. But I think my heart is opening, and that's a new experience for me, which is quite nice, age 45.
So who's this new person?
Well, I'm not going to talk about it because it's very new. But what's nice is at least my heart's open, and I'm actually enjoying dating for the first time. I've never enjoyed dating. I mean, like, you met your gorgeous wife. And I bet it was like, I'm sure there were moments and things. For me, even here, you know, it would be, I go into a freeze. I'm like, you know, so like if my therapist says, think of dating, I literally go, and he goes, your lips curl. Do you know what I mean?
I was pulling this face.
Yeah.
Looks like you're doing a poo. That's what it...
I go into a freeze, and I'm like, it's just terrifying for me. But if you say, like, go and do this, that's not terrifying. I mean, go and sing in front of all these people, it's not terrifying.
Do you see sort of vulnerability in that space of love weakness?
I don't know if I've fully worked out. What I do know is that I love I thrive in... That's my tummy.
Was that me or you?
I think that's my tummy.
Okay.
I thrive in parameters, and I thrive in... and I don't know if that's because of being institutionalized. I love parameters. Like, brilliant. Work parameters, know what I'm doing. If something doesn't have parameters and people aren't in their roles, I get a bit more, I don't feel as safe.
Really?
Yeah.
But
so
explain that.
I think I was quite institutionalized, you know, growing up.
Yeah.
So I'm much better if it's like, this is what we're doing, this is what everyone's doing here today. I'm really good in, like, institutions. Anything that's just got, like, this has got parameters today.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm just sort of floating around, not very good. But vulnerability, if I can be vulnerable in a safe space, then that's me at my, like, peak. I'm, like, maxed out. You know, I've got super diesel, not just diesel in. I just feel amazing. So I know that works for me. I just haven't perhaps found that in a relationship.
Also,
I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does answer, but also relationships are messy and humans are messy. And so therefore that feels not good because it's too, oh God, I can't. It sort of comes
come with friends. I'm not good with that.
Why are you not good with You're not good with the friends?
I just realised that.
You just realised that?
I only realised that recently.
Really, that you don't, that doesn't work.
Then you have to meet their friends. What if you don't like them?
But is it more that you're worried that you don't like them or they're not going to like you? Because that's the abandonment coming out, which we...
It could be that, yeah. I think I'm quite a shy person. So, like, all that side of dating, I'm sure other people will relate. You know, it's like, some people love it. Like, my friend, he is out the whole time. He's such an extrovert. He lives off being around people and new people and all that. I can't do that. So...
Have you ever been in love?
I think I was in love with one boyfriend, yeah. It might have been infatuation.
So you've never had your heart broken?
Oh, no. That's true. He did break my heart. Yeah. Or it broke my heart, the relationship.
You say you're an introvert, but
I broke my heart broke when also, I will tell you what broke my heart. And this is when my dog got run over. That broke my heart.
Really?
Yeah. That is like, that is definite heart. I'll never get over it.
People always say...
And I saw it. It was heartbreak.
So what happened?
She got run over by an electric car.
In front of you?
Yeah.
Oh,
It was awful. That's the most heartbreaking thing that's ever happened to me. My baby. I know.
But they always say when a pet dies, a little bit of you dies as well. It's impossible to get it back.
I'll never get it back. I can't even spread the ashes.
Really, Will?
No, I can't. They're just on my shelf. I know.
Will.
I know. It's heartbreaking. I mean, that is heartbreaking. I could cry. But it is heartbreaking, isn't it? Heartbreaking.
Oh my God.
I know. Heartbreaking. My Nelly.
How old was Nelly?
I think she was like 6. It was really funny because the guy, I mean, it wasn't funny, but the guy got out and he was like, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. Because I went into I don't need you here. Go away. That's what I said to him. He was like, it's not my fault. She ran out. I went, I don't need you here. Go away.
Your alter ego came in again.
And he looked at me and he was like, I just got in the car and drove off. It's like really quiet. Go away.
We both did Strictly Come Dancing.
Oh yeah, and
I got injured.
you got injured, and I was kind of injured. I was thinking,
and
I could have gone back.
And I heard this is that you.
I mean, I was mentally injured.
You wished, and we both had Karen.
Oh my God, did you have Karen as well?
We both had Karen, and I heard that you said in an interview that you wish you had been injured. Because then it would have been taken away.
Yes, but I wish I didn't. Yeah, even thought about it, like injuring my leg. Yeah.
But what happened at that time?
I was just I was unwell. You know, I shouldn't have been working. Shouldn't have been doing it.
Depressed, anxious,
and I had I had a really bad anxiety disorder. I mean, like major agoraphobia.
Really?
Yeah, dissociation. Sort of.
I've had dissociation, depersonalization.
Oh, that's awful. Have you had that?
So what happened with you? So
one day I just suddenly was sitting down and I didn't recognize, for me, it was depersonalization and I didn't recognize the person. I knew who the person I was sitting opposite was, but I didn't know.
Wow.
Literally like that.
Like a switch.
And I was like, I know it's Faye. She was my manager, been my manager for ages. But I knew who she was. So it's like that whole part. I thought I'd gone mad. And then I couldn't recognize myself in the mirror. So I'd look in the mirror, but I didn't know. I knew who it was me, but I didn't. It was just crazy.
Well, how do you do Strictly? The
I don't know. I tried to pull out. I tried to not do it. But I sort of got forced to do it. Not by the team, but by my managers. At the time, I don't have that management anymore. So, I did try and look after myself. But... because
the press reported badly, they said that you were
awful,
weak or pathetic or this or that.
It was awful. And I think there was stuff going on actually as well. There was they were pushing stories. I think there were stories being pushed because there was other stories they wanted to not be happening. Because I just had such bad anxiety, and I think people who have anxiety, and also I feel it very physically. Some people get I don't get caught in thought loops and things like that. I feel it very physically. So it's like an illness. So, but I also have a huge desire for life because I think life's amazing. I think life, the tiny things in life are amazing. I just think life is amazing. Getting a train, I love getting on trains. It's not the sort of big here I am on I'm on a desert island. Look at It's actually the things like I love getting on a train and having a Marks and Spencer sandwich. That to me is just heaven. You know what I mean? I
like those moments because it's the moment to rest and not think about stuff and just watch. Yeah.
So it's really difficult when you've got anxiety, which is physically and emotionally taking you away from life when you think it's amazing. And that's why. But when I rang up the Samaritans.
You rang up the Samaritans?
Yeah, I rang up the Samaritans.
Because you were so afraid?
I was still working and I was having to go out on press night for a musical called Strictly Ballroom. And they changed 5 of my songs 2 days before. I mean, it was high stress. It was high stress. But anyway, and because I was highly stressed anyway, that's just going to tip me over the edge. And I rang up the Samaritans literally 15 minutes before press night. And she was like, I said, I'm feeling very suicidal, but I'm feeling like it's moving from suicidal ideation to intention. That's when you have to do something about it. It becomes like a tractor beam. So because I'd already done a lot of work at that stage, I thought, okay, I recognize this sign. This is not a good sign. So to anyone's listening, suicidal ideation is a sort of, it's a symptom again, because your brain's going, what do? I don't know. Well, I'll just kill myself. How do I get out of this pain? How do I get out of this? And then she asked me the question, are you tired of life or are you tired of anxiety? I thought it was such a good question.
That is a great question.
And I said, well, actually, I'm not tired of life. I love life. I'm just tired of anxiety. Really tired of it. Yeah. So I never forgot that question. So if anyone is ever struggling, ring up the Samaritans. They're amazing. She was great. Yeah. But it was just a sign of how I felt so helpless. I just didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
You don't know what to do.
No, it's out of your control. You don't think it's going to end.
And the depersonalization was just, I thought I had gone mad. I actually thought I had gone mad. And
well, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad you are here.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, I really am glad. And
I know. It would have been awful, wouldn't it?
It would have been awful.
But I think it's the reason I talk about suicide ideation or suicide is because I think there's a shame around it as well. And actually, I never had suicidal thoughts before I was maybe until up to my 30s. The idea literally wasn't just not that person, and it came out of left field. So it wasn't like
switch, boom.
It was switch, boom. So it wasn't like I was. So I just thought, well, how would that ever happen? And I think people can be a bit shaming about it, and so that's why I like to talk about it. And also, suicidal ideations can be just a symptom. Like, try not to let it freak you out, because it can be a bit freaky, and you think, God, suddenly I'm thinking about this.
Why am I thinking about this?
Why am I thinking about this?
Yeah.
It can just be a symptom. Yeah.
Do you know what I find amazing about you, Will, is that you say you're an introvert, but then you clearly have this incredible love for stage.
Yeah, love it.
You're 22 years old, and you decide to sign up to
Pop Idol, yeah.
Pop Idol. And go and do that. You're 22 and you're an introvert, but yet you go on the world stage pretty much, because Pop Idol, I don't know how many views, 15 million views? Must be something wild like that.
Yeah, it was, I think, about that, yeah.
How do you then...
Because lots of performers are, I think. Lots of performers are. Like, you're a different person when you're on stage. So, like, even last night, doing this... So I'll tell you this funny, I was going to tell you. So I get booked for this gig. Sometimes you get booked for corporates, and they pay a lot of money. And I was like, brilliant, because I'm doing up a house, so I need the money. And I do need the cash. I found damp in my whole house. So it's like, hallelujah. The woman who booked me, this is so funny. The woman that booked me comes up, and I was like, oh, can I just have a cigarette? She was like, yeah, I'll come with you. And she was like, oh. She goes, I'm really worried. I said, oh, what are you worried about? She goes, I'm worried I've booked the wrong act. And I was like, oh, what? As in, like, what, me? She went, yeah, I just don't know if people... She goes, we had Blue last year. And she goes, people loved them. Just loved them. And by the way, I'm writing this comedy series. I'm writing a comedy series for radio. I mean, hopefully they love it. About what it is to be a pop star in the 40s. Because this is the kind of shit that happens. She was like, oh, we had Blue last year. They were brilliant. And people just loved them. But she goes, I just hope people are excited.
So what did you respond? You went British again. Oh, I hope they are too.
I said, you booked me? Yeah. She goes, I'm a big fan. And I said, but you know that, like, what I do is, like, it's kind of like jazzy, soul-y, me. It's not upbeat. It's me and a piano. Yeah. She goes, I just hope people, are excited and they're not too drunk. I was like, fucking hell, what?
Perfect. Just before I go on stage. This is ideal.
Just before I go on stage.
So you go on stage, what happens?
Oh, they're all drunk. They're all drunk as a thing. Give a shit. Doesn't matter though. I don't mind.
But do you...
It's so funny. I don't even think she'd realise that's what was so funny. I don't even think she'd realise.
Hadn't clocked it.
She was just nervous for herself, and that's fine. But I was like, wow.
But I did this reality show for many years, right? Made in Chelsea. When I was doing it, and partly after I left doing it, I wanted to reject my roots. I want to be more than that. Oh, that can't be
more than a reality show.
More than a reality show. Oh, I'm more than that. I'm not just a reality show. I'm not just that.
Which is understandable.
Which is understandable. But now as I get older, I'm really proud of, what I did and created and all that kind of thing. When you do Pop Idol and you leave and you're young, did you reject it or did you accept it and you were like, okay?
I think the thing that I found really hard about that was that lots of people were slagging me off and the show. So...
What, even then?
Yeah. So I think that's what I found hard.
Who was slagging you off?
I mean, loads of people who I won't mention because it doesn't matter. I've met a lot of them since, but a lot of them are my heroes, So...
Because you were seen as a threat.
I just like,
It is.
Here we go. He's got a record. It was, a threat and success, and it's all given so quickly, and I can understand that. So I think that made my relationship with the show hard.
Yeah.
Because that was difficult to hear. Mm-hmm. And I was a bit like, why anyone? I just entered it. Come up with it. And then I think maybe sort of prejudice of coming from a talent show, which probably, to be honest, that has gone. There's probably a tiny bit of prejudice. There's still some areas where I think there is prejudice. Like, I never got to perform at the Brits, even though, that...
You got 2 Brit Awards and 12 nominations.
A lot of nominations,
12 nominations.
Well done for knowing that.
Yeah.
12 nominations.
12 nominations.
That's a lot of nominations.
It's a huge amount.
I think there might have been a bit of homophobia going on there as well, which is fine. But I think there was also prejudice. And I would see a lot of people who were sort of not doing as well as me, solo males, and they'd get performances. And I was like, okay, that's a bit of a shame. And maybe I think there was probably a bit of prejudice, maybe in some festivals. I think I'd seen that. But again, I was like, But I think on the whole now, the prejudice, I felt like that went after about 10 years.
How did you handle the fame at the time? Because you're an introvert, and that was different. Because
I was so focused on having a career,
but
the fame
that's
was
the
like
drive.
Secondary.
Yeah, but you were so famous.
Yeah, but it was secondary. Honestly, I was like laser focused. I was like, I've got to get to 5 years. In fact, I had to get to my second album. So I was like, I've got to get.
That was your vision? I've got to
get to my second album. I've got to do that album. And
your second album was even more successful.
Yeah, it was sold twice.
How many? 5 platinum?
Yeah. You know it all. Mm-hmm. That's good knowledge. It was bonkers. It sold 1 million in 3.5 weeks. It was madness.
Do you love the industry?
I actually do. Again, I didn't for a long time, but I actually do. I think it's really fun, and I actually can't believe I do it. It's honestly, I think it's really, really fun.
Why did you fall out of love with it, to begin with?
I think it was just repetition, actually. You're doing the same thing. Actually, if I'm really honest, I think it did feel a bit demoralising when streaming and things started coming in, because it really was like, there is success, there's fulfillment in being successful. Obviously, there's lots of different definitions of success, but there's fulfillment in that, isn't it? There's like, I've done really well with this record. That's what I've earned. I'm going to get myself an old Mini, because I love old Minis. And everyone deserves that. It doesn't even have to be an old Mini. It can be like, I've done a really good day at work. I'm going to buy myself an Eclair. Whatever that it is. You know what I mean, though? It's all relative. And for a multi-billionaire, it would be, I'm going to buy myself a country. Knock yourself out. Knock yourself out. But I think it did become a bit demoralising, because it was a bit like, wow, this has really changed. And I'm expecting to do this. I'm expecting to do this on a dime, Yeah. And that was, but now I'm like, it's the best thing about getting older. I'm just like, I just can't believe I still do it. I can't believe I still do it. I've been doing it so long.
Yeah, but it's great. It's
because I'm not on the level of like, you've got very few people who are on like the Coldplays, Ed Sheeran's, Taylor Swift's, all those people. They exist on that level. Yeah. So I had that for a bit, and then it kind of calms down, and that's.
What is it like when you're on that level?
It's madness.
But give it to me.
I don't know if you enjoy
someone who has.
It was mad. We used to get like police escorts.
Tell me this. But for you've experienced. I haven't, so I want to know. So police escorts from where you were picked up.
I forget. You finish a show and you'd have a police escort, and you'd be like, "Oh, we've got a police escort." And you wouldn't even think about it. In Italy, you'd go to all these shows and you wouldn't even notice. Like the roads would just be blocked.
What?
I know, it's madness, and like people sending you. I remember like. I working in Italy, I just had like boxes and boxes of Dolce & Gabbana, boxes and boxes, and I was like, what's this? And they're like, oh, they've sent it, or you wear it. And I was like, well, I don't want to wear it. I just want to wear Gap, and like having big arguments. I mean, it's just like sort of lots of weird, and like turning, I don't know. Some of it I found a bit scary, to be honest, actually. So really? I would actually turn a lot of stuff down, which is a shame, the introvert and a bit shy, So I remember like Valentino going, come to my... you must come to my house for dinner. And I was like, oh, no, I won't. Because that I found it.
Wow.
I didn't quite understand.
Well, that's insane.
Some of the fame things I couldn't quite understand why you would just go and see people just because you were famous. I didn't understand it. So I went the other way.
You rejected it.
Yeah. I did reject it a bit because I found it a bit, I didn't understand it. I was like, why are they asking me? I don't know them. Is it just, it slightly freaked me out. And I'm actually really pleased it did because I think it kept me.
Stay true to yourself as well.
I think it just kept me normal.
Because otherwise you lose.
I was terrified of losing. Yeah, I was terrified of it.
You lose yourself, you lose your friendships,
Terrified.
and you lose
I would have
everything.
lost all my friends from uni,
Everything.
my friends from school, everything. And I think I would have become a complete.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Completely.
Yeah, and I was a for about a year, but then I went into therapy. Do you know what I mean? No, but I was a for a year.
Yeah, but you're allowed to be.
I thought I was really important.
You're allowed to be.
I had a film, I had a movie, I had this, I had that. You know, all the decisions I'd made were right. And I was like, yeah, man. And then a friend said, you're a friend from uni. And I was like, oh, okay.
You've fallen back in love with the music and you're writing and you're like, feels good. How do you know that it feels really good when you're writing an album like that? And how is it different to your other albums?
I just feel like I just knew I was doing this other project that was like sort of really sad. I'm not sure I mean, it was great, but it was quite serious. And then I actually did the first song, Light It Up. That was the first song that changed it all. And I was like, because, you know, I was like, oh, it's very poppy. And I just thought, this is genius. This is brilliant. And so
that's the name of the album.
Yeah.
Well.
And so I thought, well, I'm just going to do loads of brilliant pop songs. Because I think because I came from Pop Idol and I didn't want to do the norm. So that's why I worked, you know, I didn't work with any of the Scandinavian people. I didn't work with any of the people that would work with Westlife and people like that who were having massive hits. I would go and work with Steve Lipson, who like came from The Art of Noise and did Annie Lennox's stuff and Whitney Houston and Grace Jones. And I'd go and work with Nitin Sawhney or like go and work with Groove Armada, you know, like, but I was very conscious of not doing the norm. Because I thought...
Because you wanted to be against the grain?
Yeah, and I just thought you're not going to have a career if you just do what all those people are doing at that time. So I never really loved an out-and-out pop hit.
Favourite track on the album?
On the new one? I think it could be The Worst, actually. It's a ballad. No, it's called The Worst, sorry. It's called
sorry.
The Worst. No, it's called The Worst, but I think it's the best. Yeah, and that's a ballad. That's quite gorgeous. I think that's my favourite.
And you're going on what I saw was over 50 tour date to different venues across the UK because you want to do smaller places, more intimate.
I've never done that,
Because you want to do that because you just want to connect with the crowd.
I just want to go to more places. I just thought I never, and also they have to travel. People have to travel, you know, quite often to go to a city.
Yeah.
So I'll do 20 dates in the UK?
Yeah.
Maybe a tiny bit more, but in big venues and cities. And I was like, well, that means quite a few people have to travel. Like, I've never gone up to the Highlands. I've never gone to Cornwall. I've never gone to any of these. I just go to the same places for over 20 years. So I just thought, well, why don't we do... I did this, it was after lockdown, and I did these album launch shows where I spoke. I don't know how they even came about, but I probably started enjoying talking more and more and more in my shows. I really like it. And also I like hearing from the audience. And I just think it's fun, to be honest. And then I thought, well, why don't I do these little acoustic shows? People can email in on an iPad. But there was one thing I did, and the first question was, Hi Will, I moved to Australia just after you won Pop Idol, and I came back a month ago. Can you catch me up on what you've been up to?
So over 20
years. It's really funny.
Sorry. Okay.
It's just really fun. They're just really funny. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Are you...
And it's really musical. There's something about being... I don't know if any other singers that you've interviewed over the years have told you this, but when you see yourself as a singer, because there's it's like there's movie stars and there's actors, you know, and there's singers and there's pop stars and performers. They're all different, but I really see myself as a singer, and not one's better than the other. They're all different things. When you sing acoustically, it's like heaven for a singer because there's so much space. You know, I can sing a song like Leave Right Now, but it can feel like I've never sung it at all. It'll feel like I've sung it for the first time.
I love that. that.
I love it.
You better leave.
Yeah.
I think I better leave right now.
You're closing your eyes.
Yeah, of course I close my eyes. I was actually generally trying.
Yeah, it's like a little...
Can we try and harmonise? Think I better...
You just changed key.
Think I better leave right now before I fall any deeper. Think I better leave right now and getting weaker and weaker. Somebody better tell me how.
You're changing key. It's hard to harmonise with you.
I'm not a singer. I'm a pop star. Well, can I say I loved every minute of this. I really, truly have.
I've loved it as well. I knew I'd love it. You're a nice person.
I really have enjoyed every minute. So thank you, and thank you for being honest and open. And you're a storyteller as well. So you say things that people can really relate to and really feel. So I appreciate that.
That's the important thing.
We end with 8 questions. 8.
Oh yeah.
You ready for this?
Oh my God. Are they like quick fire?
Yeah, quick fire. What's a saying or phrase that always makes you smile or cheers you up?
Treat people how you expect to be treated.
Love that.
Yeah.
Best compliment anyone's ever given you?
Nice ass.
2005. Rear of the year.
I've got great ass. Still good.
Do you know why we do? We do. I have a good butt as well. Rugby.
Is that what it is?
Yes, because you're down low and catching things.
And do you look at it sometimes and go, "Ooh, yeah, it's good."
Yeah, and my wife likes my butt.
Yeah, great.
What scares you most about yourself?
My ability to sweat on at any given opportunity.
When was the last time you cried and why?
I mean, I could have cried today, probably yesterday. I would imagine it'd be watching something on Instagram to do with puppies. Yeah.
What's something you can't let go of?
Any Desperate Housewives, any of the Thingy Housewives franchise.
My wife loves that. She's obsessed.
Yeah, I'm obsessed.
What's something that you'd be embarrassed for people to know you like or want? And you love your antiques, I hear.
Oh, well, I've just bought an old basin.
Just bought an old basin.
I just bought an old basin. I've just got a pickup truck. So I can buy more antiques.
Really?
It's crazy. I'm such an open book. People probably know it.
Have you ever? What's the strange?
Polishing brass is a bit odd. I love polishing brass.
You like polishing brass?
Yeah, I have now a whole kit. Yeah.
Sorry, hang on a second. You have a whole kit to polish
now
brass.
I've got a wheel, a clamp. It's on a wheel. And I mean, I do. That's what I do.
Do you ever polish your Olivier award?
Say something else then. Yeah, I polished my Olivier award. Yeah, but now I've got 2.
When you're alone, or
depends. Depends. If someone wants to join in,
they can.
The polishing of the award. They can. Yeah, then I might do.
Okay.
No.
What turns you off?
Oh, rudeness.
Worse. Same. The worst.
Rudeness.
What turns you on?
Great bum. Great bum. Lips.
Lips?
You got nice lips. Let's
No.
see. Oh, you've got nice lips.
My wife has great lips. That's what I always say. I keep mentioning my wife, but she does. She has really.
And it's great for kissing.
Oh.
You tell that my heart's open, can't you?
Yeah. I always say to Sophie that if she died, I would take her lips off and wear her as a necklace. So I kiss it every day.
Oh, that's so sweet. No. Can I just say, I'm really pleased that you didn't open with that at the beginning of our interview.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done that.
Because I'd be like,
this guy's psycho.
That's psycho.
Yeah, that's psycho.
But it's quite sweet.
Quite sweet.
I love nice lips. They're just like, such gorgeous.
What do you like most about yourself?
I actually really like my lips. I think I've got really nice lips. I think I should get them moulded into little brooches.
Really?
Yeah. Good morning. I could give you a brooch.
I'll have the brooch as well.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
Okay, I can have. Who said there's Will Young's?
I think I'm a kind person.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that's nice. I didn't used to like that about me, but I like it. Yes. It's good to be kind.
Great to be kind. Bonus. Favourite swear word? It's got to be. Well, on that note, I think I better leave right now.
Oh, well done.
Thank you very much.
You bloody felch.
Oh, that was amazing.
Thank you.